Motorworld's annual Hot Summer Car Show is happening Saturday, August 31st. Are your documents ready?
Get easy pre-approval from Windward Islands Bank and RBC Bank when you bring the following documents.
A recent job letter addressed to Windward Island Bank or RBC Royal Bank.
Your last 2 payslips if paid monthly, or your last 4 payslips if paid bi-weekly.
2 forms of identification, your driver's license, ID card, or your passport.
A proof of address, this can be your utility bill or a registration form from the census office.
A pro forma invoice from Motorworld for the vehicle of your choice.
If you're not a Dutch resident, you have to get a resident paper along with a valid work permit.
A list of 3 references of people that you would know. You would look for their name, their address, their telephone number, and place of employment.
And that's all you need to get approved to drive away in your new car.
So don't miss out on Motorworld's Hot Summer Car Show on August 31st. We can't wait to see you there.
Welcome to the Late Night Show. Hope everything is okay. Hope everything is all right. I'm your host.
Welcome to the Late Night Show. Hope everything is okay. Everything is all right. Yeah, I'm your host, Ulster Lawrence. Let me hear the clap. Oh, we had a good time this week, didn't we? Thank you all for all the great comments that you're sending in, and the rude ones too. I make sure Andrew sees them. Let's get right to it. We have some awards this week. As you know, the count is over, so that show is gone. What else is happening? We decided some records were recently broken, and we want to bring it up. Here we go with shortest stints in Parliament history. Okay, this award goes to 2 people.
May I have the envelope, please?
And the Oscar for Best Picture is presented to...
And the Oscar goes 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 to...
And the Oscar goes...
And the Oscar goes... And the Oscar goes to...
The Oscar goes to...
Woo! And boom. Okay, shortest stint ever. Parliament goes to Cloyd Marlin and Kevin Maingret. That's right. They were sworn in February, and they will be leaving in September. We're going to definitely miss Cloyd Marlin Unde. He was very vocal all the time. We will never forget Kevin Maingret. And I know a lot of you may not know this, but Kevin Maingret is still an MP. He's actually still a member of Parliament. He's just been quiet and laying low for reasons we need not discuss. Yeah. So, and he was still involved in politics. He was, he went around and asked other politicians running if they wanted his endorsement.
There are 3 things you could do that make a difference. Run, hide, fight. First and foremost, if you can get out, do. Always try and escape or evacuate, even when others insist on staying. Encourage others to leave with you, but don't let them slow you down with indecision.
I don't think that went well. However, he did support a particular candidate that is elected, so keep your eyes open. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to a break.
Great job, Carl. Thank you. Jeremy, come on up. For the final word in the Spelling Bee Championship, please spell insurance.
Insurance. N-A-G-I-C-O. Insurance.
That's correct. I hope your father can spell Najiko too.
Najiko is insurance. Insurance is Najiko.
Let's come back from the break. Hey, what's going on this weekend, everybody? Please try to stay safe. Sorry, stay out of nonsense. Andrew's birthday is tomorrow, yes. It's a whole other year to celebrate life of someone like him. So if you see him out this weekend, please send a drink, or not a drink, no, don't send a drink, no. Please send him a glass of water and say, Andrew, we're happy to have you. Good luck.
Tender and juicy, and you can't go wrong. Why people? I feel like people watching me. It's delicious.
Court TV, let's see what's happening in the justice field. Okay. Man found with loaded revolver sentenced to 24 months, acquitted of firing at an oncoming car. Let's check this out. The court of first instance on Wednesday sentenced a man found with a loaded revolver in his vehicle for 24 months in prison. Seems like a long time. Anyway, of which 12 months are conditional, but acquitted him of firing a shot into the windshield of an oncoming car. Why? The case against Jonathan Joas started in the early morning hours of March 3rd, when two people reported that someone in a Kia Picanto had fired into a car's windshield as the two vehicles passed each other on the Welfare Road. Police soon heard from a witness that a group of young men were breaking into cars in the area, and the perpetrator's vehicle was described as a Kia Picanto with front side license plates. Front side. I wonder how to figure that out. Here we go. Meanwhile, another person reported that someone had smashed the windshield of their parked car and stolen the vehicle's radio and other personal items. About 90 minutes later, police stopped a Kia Picanto matching the witness's description on Welfare Road. The officers found Joas at the wheel, 3 other young men as passengers, and a revolver with 5 live rounds of ammunition with 1 spent shell casing in the cylinder. They also recovered gloves and a hammer in the vehicle, which, according to the prosecutor, are items that could be used to break in cars. One of Joas' passengers was found with a Lacoste bag stolen in the earlier vehicle break-in, and the victim's spare key was still inside the bag. The prosecutor told the court, more than likely friend side. I mean, they can't resist Lacoste. I mean, you need a Lacoste, right? Okay, moving on. Investigators pulled a bullet fragment from the roof of the car that had been shot at, and the evidence suggested it had been fired from a revolver of the same caliber as the one found in Joas's vehicle. The prosecutor said Joas, resident of the French-side village of Colombier, denied shooting at an oncoming car and being involved in the vehicle break-in. Completely denied it. Joas claimed that he and his friends were only looking for late-night food and that the tools were for his construction work, but not for breaking in cars. He did admit to the charge of gun possession, claiming he had found the revolver in an old house and kept it to hunt birds in the nearby mountains. The mountains. The prosecutor asked the judge to acquit Joas of attempted manslaughter based on analysis by the Dutch Forensic Institute, NFI, which concluded that the gun in the defendant's car did not match the recovered bullet fragment. Yes! Yes! One getaway. There was a lot of emotion. It's probably unfounded. Anyway, the prosecutor asked the judge, okay. Investigators also reviewed surveillance camera footage from the area, and there's no evidence that Joas and the victim's car had ever crossed paths, what the prosecutor said. However, the prosecutor did consider the defendant guilty of gun possession and co-perpetration of theft and called for a sentence of 24 months in prison, of which 6 would be conditional on 3 years probation. That's still a year and a half. Defense lawyer Shara Baba pleaded for her client's acquittal of theft, arguing that there was no direct evidence to prove that he was involved in the car break-in. As for the gun charge, Baba pleaded for the judge to impose a lower sentence, pointing out that Joas suffers from a serious medical condition that is being closely monitored by doctors. She argued that her client would not receive adequate care in the Point Blanche prison. We know this. In his verdict, the judge acquitted Joas of attempted manslaughter and theft, but found the first-time offender, guilty of gun possession. First time, 2 years? That's rough. First time, 2 years for just having a blicky? A blicky to hunt birds in the mountains? It's kind of harsh. If it was me, anyway, I'll get to me. However, after all of that, however, the judge decided to give Joas more conditional prison time than the prosecutor had demanded, agreeing with Baumol that a reduced sentence is appropriate because of the man's medical history. The judge also deducted from the sentence the 116 days that Joas had sat in pre-trial detention. I guess sometimes people get it wrong, and that's good. That's good enough. That's good enough. Let's get to the next one here on Court TV. Call to all victims of severe dog attacks, legal aid offered. Following a landmark ruling by the court ordering the owner of 3 pit bulls to pay a fine of 5,000 guilders to the country. 5,000 guilders if your dog bites someone in the ass. But if the gas station rob you, rob all of us for hours. 250 guilders. Maybe. Okay, go ahead. To the country, and 50,000 guilders in damages to a man mauled by his dogs. Attorney Kerr Katzman is calling all victims of dog attacks to come forward. Everybody who ever get the ass bite by a dog, who know anybody ever get the ass bite by a dog, who get scared by dogs, just nipping at them, anybody ever. Kerr Katzman said, come true. We gonna stand together and hold hands together for this atrocity. Yeah. It's really, I mean, please, you don't laugh because somebody really got hurt, okay, and get 50,000 guilders for it as well. I'm moving on. On Wednesday, the court imposed a 5,000 guilder fine on Marvin Kolastica, the owner of 3 pit bulls who had left his dogs loose on the day when his mother had requested. Walter Ellis, 62, man get bite to 62 years old. Yeah, I'm glad he got his money. He should get more than that. 62? Listen, I'm 40-something. I don't know if I could survive for another step. Imagine all my dogs, 3 pit bulls. And it looked like the name this fella name is, like, Kolastica. He sounds like a fella in the hood who got dogs. So like, you know your dog's bad as hell. 62, we need to give this man an award. We need 50,000 guilders ain't enough, is what I'm saying at this point in time. I can't go back on what's going on here. But 62, I take a dog biting, that ain't cool at all. Move it back. Construction foreman Ellis and his crew entered the premises on March 15th, unaware that the dogs were roaming freely. Why you have people walking by you and don't tell them you got dogs? How? It's not like I have a Chihuahua home, not me. My children have a Chihuahua home. You know, you forget to tell somebody you got a Chihuahua. They get a little scared, whatnot. They ain't gonna get mauled by world-class pit bulls, bred to kill people. And you got people coming working for you, and you even tell them? Anyway, moving on. Moments later, Ellis found himself on the ground. Moments later, Ellis found himself on the ground being mauled by the dogs. His workers had fled onto the roof of the apartment they were building. If I had known the dogs were there, I would have never entered the premises, Ellis said from his hospital bed. She, the mother, told me that whenever the construction crew was at work, the dogs would not be there. Her son would take the pit bulls elsewhere, she said. Miraculously, Ellis managed to escape, but he was covered in blood from head to toe. He had sustained deep flesh wounds to his legs, arms, hands, and head, what, along with the numerous puncture wounds all over his body. Ellis incurred medical bills exceeding $13,000. Did not have medical insurance. Ooh, he was born in Los Angeles, California. Ellis came to St. Martin over 25 years ago to work in the yachting industry. I had a good job, but then came COVID, and that was the end of it all, he said. I was just getting started again, rebuilding my life, and then this happened, he said. The court awarded him the maximum amount of 50,000 guilders. Yeah, double that. His lawyer, Geert Hatzman, called the ruling a significant development. Initially, the police didn't even want to record the victim's report. You did a great job, police. You did a damn good job reporting the report. Woo! Arguing bizarrely, had it happened on private property and was therefore a civil matter. The prosecutor emphasized that the dog owner's negligence constitutes a criminal offense. There is a pressing need to change the public perception that dog bite incidents are mere accidents. Pet owners have a legal obligation to ensure that their animals do not harm others. Attorney Hatzman, satisfied with the compensation awarded to his client, is calling on other victims of dog attacks to come forward to be represented in court. Anyone who contacts me will receive legal assistance, owner of Hatzman Law said. Yeah, so if you got dogs, make sure your dogs don't bite people. And if you're working on a construction site, you might want to make sure all the dogs are out there. New rule. Tie your dog if people walking by your house. Moving on. Co-suspect accused of beating a man to death facing 12 years in prison. Okay, a prosecutor has demanded a 12-year prison sentence for the second man allegedly involved in beating a father of 5 to death in a hardware store parking lot. For the second man. So this is about the second man who was beating the panel. Okay, FG 27 stood trial in the court of first instance on Wednesday, charged with the killing of James Rusty Cadillion, who was severely beaten by 2 men in the parking lot of Ace Mega Center on December 7th, 2020. The assault landed 34-year-old victim in the St. Martin Medical Center, but he had to be flown to Colombia in critical condition. He died of brain damage in South American country 2 days later, the prosecutor said. The prosecutor considered G guilty of manslaughter, mainly based on his being identified by a witness and a police officer after they had viewed surveillance footage of the early evening attack. So he was caught on camera. I have never assaulted anybody in my life. The man said that with his chest big. I think capital in the letters basically here. I have never assaulted anyone in my life, G told the court on Wednesday. In November 2021, the court of first instance sentenced Sheldon Mouse, wait a minute. Sheldon Mouse Williams to 12 years in prison after finding him guilty of taking Cadillion's life. 4 witnesses, including 2 police officers, had identified Williams as the long, tall man with rasta hair seen in the surveillance footage, which showed that 2 men had walked up to Cadillion and one had hit him in the face several times. Cadillion fell to the ground and stayed down, but one of the assailants still kicked him in the head. The 2 men started to walk away but returned a moment later, after which one of them picked up something from the ground and threw it at Cadillion's head. The other man pulled him away and both walked off, leaving the victim unconscious in a deserted parking lot. One of the officers who identified Williams had also recognized the second perpetrator as someone who lives in Colby but did not know his name. So we got district discrimination now. You just look at a man and tell he's from Colby just because he on a T-Max and got a Lacoste shirt and a big gold chain. That don't mean he's from the friend side. You know what I mean? Just because he got on, you know, like slides and wheeling on one bike, you know, and short pants, that don't mean he's from town. So then we just stop. Just a tall, long Rasta man. Anyway, moving on. One of the efforts to identify this perpetrator floundered for more than a year, the prosecutor said. However, this changed on October 2022 when the officer saw G at a gas station. The officer immediately told the detective that he was looking at the unidentified. So 2 years later, the officer, take him 2 years to find somebody in Colby. Like, You could find somebody in Kobe in 3 minutes if you stop on the right corner. This, 2 years later, anyway, back to the story. He saw him at the gas station. Officer immediately told a detective that he was looking at the identified assailant. When the investigators looked at the gas station surveillance footage, they learned G's name by checking the vehicle registration linked to the license plate of the car he was driving. The witness was interviewed again, and this time told investigators G's nickname and described his physical features. The prosecutor said, this is the witness that had seen him with the police the first time. Okay. Then in February, the witness picked G out of a photo array, which led to G's arrest on April 15. 2 years later, the prosecutor told the court that G had claimed that he was not even in St. Martin on the night of the attack, instead telling investigators in an interrogation that he had served in the French Armed Forces in Guadeloupe from 2018 to 2021. However, this turned out to be a lie. Prosecutor said, as French side authorities have confirmed that G had been discharged from the armed forces in November 2019, while Dutch side records also show that he had been fined for violating COVID-19 lockdown measures in March 2020. Dude, if you know you were in police touch in that time, why would, anyway. The officer testified under oath in a preliminary hearing last month and said he is certain that G is the second suspect in the surveillance footage of the attack. Defense lawyer Safira Ibrahim pleaded for full acquittal by trying to cast doubt on the reliability of G's being named as a suspect. Ibrahim did not dispute that her client had been captured on the gas station surveillance cameras in October 2022. However, she questioned how these images were linked to the unclear and poor quality footage of the attack. Ibrahim noted that the witness had not come up with a name when they were shown the footage in March 2021, but suddenly provided a nickname 19 months later. This, she argued, pointed to investigators having influenced the witness with information they already knew. The judge rendered on September 11th. For me, lock up, I mean, whoever lock up, good. But that police officer, we gotta watch it. You never know. St. Martin, take 2 years to find somebody in Colby, in the same guy. Nah, some fishy there. New rule. If you're gonna snitch right away. If you're gonna snitch right away. New rule. Especially if you're gonna name these cities, does it look like a panel from Colby? If you in your initial statement say it look like a tall panel from Colby, right? And you nor nobody else in the hundreds of police see he, right? Through COVID, and ain't nobody know him. You take you 2 years to see this man in Colby at the same gas station? Yeah, something wrong. So new rule, snitch in 6 months and just leave it go. Yeah, if nobody, especially nobody, yeah. Justice to all. This was Big Al for Court TV.
Hello, my people. Make sure you tune in to Sit, Sip, and Chat every Monday at 5 p.m. on TV 15 and every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m.
And make sure tune in to the Late Night Show with Andrew Dick from Monday to Friday at 10 p.m. with a repeat in the afternoon for no reason. In the afternoon, the Late Night Show at 3 p.m. Thank you, TV 15.
Thank you, TV 15. Make sure tune in.
Make sure tune in to the Late Night.
And Sit, Sip, and Chat.
Late Night.
Welcome to the National Institute for Professional Advancement, where dreams meet education. At NEPA, we offer 9 exciting programs to help you reach your full potential. From our state-of-the-art culinary program, where you can master the art of cooking, to our hospitality program, preparing you for the dynamic world of service. Our electrical installation technician program offers hands-on experience and practical skills for a bright future. Our ICT program is designed for the digital age, and our general property maintenance program helps you craft a solid foundation in construction. Plus, gain real-world skills in our automotive technology program, with day and evening classes and validated certifications. Join us at NEPA, where your journey to success begins. Enroll now.
Flashback.
Flashback.
To the late night show. Hope everything is okay. Hope everything is all right. I'm your host, Andrew Davis. Okay, kids, what's happening on the lovely island of St. Martin? Of course, a lot is happening. We got to get you up to speed if you are living under a rock, apparently, because the amount of things that are hot topics these days, it makes the COVID time look like a joke. All right, let me start off with GEBE, your company that is there to serve themselves. No, it's something with serve. I can't remember. They got to serve somebody because we the one who pay them, and then they end up cutting us off coming September. So I think it's something with serve. It can't come to me. But anyway, the company is, again, if the management wasn't so bad, I would have understand that at least they would have been doing something that can reflect in an actual partner in progress. And I'm not a fan of the Worst Bank in St. Martin, the WIB, but coming back to GEBE, how is it that our only electricity and water company on the 16 square miles, not even on the whole island, just 16 square miles, can't get the act together when it comes to the billing service? Now, of course, 6 months ago, it was cute to say that, the black bite situation and, they recovered so much data and everything is hunky-dory, and they have reserves from here until Timbuktu. So there's no problem, there's no issues, but we're going to start to cut you off starting September, even though we can't give you a proper bill. I need you to understand what GBE is doing now, people. They lost the information that you have been giving to them. And then after they lost it, yes, it was a hack. Okay, whoop-de-doo. Even if it was a bomb that exploded in the whole server room, or it was somebody that came and stole it and brought it to their house, and now nobody could find it, they are ultimately responsible for the information that you give them, right? Because on a monthly basis, they bill you. But now at the same time, after this hack situation, they lost your information, and they're telling you that based on your last invoice or the invoices that you have before, pay according to that every single month until they get their act together. You hear what I'm saying? Until you get your act together. Meanwhile, they come out with a bogus press release after people are starting to complain even more that they don't know whether they double paying, triple paying, but at the same time, they're starting to cut you off starting September, and everybody has a responsibility. Thank you for choosing us as your provider. That's basically what you're telling us. I can't for the life of me understand how the government of St. Martin, yes, it comes back to the government because the government is the one in charge, right? They're supposed to what? Govern. Anyway, a meeting of parliament took place on Wednesday. The Prime Minister went to the meeting because the Minister of Vromi called in sick. Bullshit. Sorry. Sorry. Anyway, the Minister of Vromi called in sick. And the reason why he's sick is because he doesn't want any more backlash. So he called in sick. Or he might have a cough, or he might have monkeypox. We don't know, and it doesn't matter because the minister is entitled to a sick day. Of course, call in your sick days, my friend. But at the same time, who is ultimately responsible? Well, the Prime Minister. And she came prepared. Your highlights for yesterday's meeting?
I've taken note of the request that was submitted last week, whilst a general shareholders meeting, extraordinary general shareholders meeting had been scheduled for Friday, August 19th. The meeting of the Council of Ministers, so the concern that is being expressed here in Parliament has been the concern of this government, and we have also been having meetings and requesting information. Just to update the members of Parliament, I believe our third-party meeting, when I say third party, because it wasn't a full shareholders meeting or anything like that, with GEBE, with the Council of Ministers, was on June 30th, post the hacking, where some information was shared and the sentiments of government was given in terms of what was expected. Following that, information had been requested as well, some of which was started to be received as of August 5th. The reminders for calling of a shareholders meeting was also reiterated, which was scheduled in the beginning of August for August 19th. So as such, the government of St. Martin has been doing its due diligence to hold the government-owned company, NVGEB, accountable for the situation that has arisen and is affecting the general population and, of course, affecting NVGEBE. The presentation that was made on Friday, the meeting went extensively long, I must say, and several follow-up questions were posed by the shareholder to be responded to by NVGEBE. Reason why I asked for a postponement of this meeting so that we were able to get the full picture from the company. Another point of concern of the government and shareholder of NVGEBE is the lack of communication to the general public. This was also addressed in both meetings, both the third-party meeting as well as the shareholders meeting, and the activity or the action that was expected out of that was that definitely more clarity would be given to the general public as of Monday gone. Seeing that that didn't happen, there was an emergency meeting also of the board, which took place, and there was also follow-up meeting or discussions in the Council of Ministers meeting yesterday on the way forward in dealing with the lack of communication, as well as the challenges that have been brought forth while we await the rest of the information that has been sought. As such, Madam Chair, I believe we have done our due diligence as a government-owned towards the government-owned company. We are awaiting the responses. A press statement, as I was made to understand, has been recently put out by the management of NVGEBE. I have not had an opportunity to go in depth, but I would like to reiterate that the people of St. Martin, I am also one of those people who have received some bills, several have not. The presentation we received gave a number, but I believe for public consumption, we must have precise numbers, and the management wanted to update the numbers that had been presented to us on Friday before bringing it to the general public. As such, Madam Chair, I will allow the members who have called this meeting.
I know nothing more of the current situation of GB than I knew before the Prime Minister took the floor. So actually, my question is, from what has been stated in the media, for example, by the government, that, and now I'm quoting the Prime Minister's own words, a slew of information or documentation was received. Could the Prime Minister, Madam Chair Lady, at least break it down for us so the information that the government now is privy to, let us know the questions that I have following up from the last meeting that we had regarding GEBE and things that happened since. But what does the government know? Yeah, fine, due diligence, and the board is doing the due diligence, and the government is doing due diligence. Has the government, for example, been able to ascertain what is the present situation with respect to the billing at GEBE and all of the different stories that we're hearing, cases that we're hearing. What is the truth to that? Madam Chair Lady, there are so many questions or so many statements that were made in the last meetings that we have had. Question hour, meeting on GB. And now the question is, since the hack of the GB system in March of this year, where do we stand with all of the different things? To start with, the strategic plan of GB, told back then it is in the make. Where is it? What is the current financial situation of GEBE?
But I'll state my concerns plain, as I did in my request for a question hour with the Minister of Rami in June over the same topic. GB is our only electricity provider. This is my concern as a citizen who needs GB, and as a member of parliament who is ultimately concerned about government's handling of what I consider our most critical government-owned company. Because without them, we are quite literally in darkness. Madam Chair, when the Minister of Rami came to Parliament for the question hour in June, there seemed to be some kind of light at the end of the tunnel. However, since that question hour, there has been no real information coming out of government, nor out of GEBE, to update the people with the current state of the situation. As a personal example, in early July, I received my April and May invoices, but with no adjustments for the payments I still made in April and May. So I'm wondering, did that money go into a mystery zone? Seeking clarity from GB does not really yield any answers. And I don't like to harass people I know that work there personally because they have a job to do. But if this is a challenge for me, what of those people who make below average income, who very often have to make a choice between what bill they're going to pay this month? They cannot afford to keep pumping money into a void with no feedback or updates on where their money is going. Further to that, I'm sure we've all heard of persons and businesses that are hesitant to pay anything to GB until there is some more clarity over the ongoing situation, including when they can expect to see those payments reflected in their bill. But that yields to the financial situation that MP Westcott Williams and I'm sure others will talk about throughout this meeting. Madam Chair Lady, it goes without saying, again, that I share that incredible worry for the situation at GEBE. In the wake of that question hour, I and the people of St. Martin have been demanding more information where we can with what is being shared. I'll state it for the record that my questions today are going to pertain mainly to the cybersecurity and ICT infrastructure side of the situation. If need be, I understand some of it may be sensitive. I don't have any issue requesting a closed-door meeting to get those answers from the Prime Minister or the Minister of Rami when he's feeling better regarding the sensitive nature of cybersecurity. However, I'm going to pose the questions regardless, because I believe the public also needs to hear them to understand the gravity of the situation.
Madam Chair, I would like to know through you to the Honorable Prime Minister, was a meeting called by the temporary manager with the executive management team, the EMT, directly after the hack? If yes, or if no, I would like to know why not. Madam Chair, how many meetings were held with the EMT following the cyber attack? Did the temporary manager visit the various departments in order to understand the effect on the organization? Madam Chair, what was Aurora Infotech's role after the cyber attack? Madam Chair Lady, in addition to that, who is Aurora Tech? Can GEBE give a breakdown detailed on this company? Madam Chair, how much did Aurora Infotech charge GEBE for the data recovery? And was any data recovered? Did GEBE submit a request for quotation, for 3 quotations to any other cybersecurity companies according to internal procedures? Or did they outright award Aurora Infotech the job in resolving the matters? If that is the case, Madam Chair Lady, I would like to know why. Madam Chair, did GEBE have an existing contract with Aurora Infotech? Aurora Infotech. Was Aurora Infotech paid in full for the works performed? And if yes, how much? Madam Chair.
So with that, members of parliament, I don't know if the prime minister would like to have closing remarks before we adjourn. No? Then we will adjourn this meeting until further notice. Meeting adjourned until further notice.
Okay, so nothing happened. Nothing happened. From what we know, is that she had to go and have a meeting with Van Heuvelen, the Dutch Minister of Interior Affairs and Dutch citizens and the stuff. You know what I mean. And then, yeah. Now, of course, a meeting with the shareholder rep and the shareholder representatives and GEBE is set to take place this coming Friday. And then hopefully Parliament can get the answers from the board, whoever is left in the board. It was just horribly prepared. I mean, the government have no idea what is going on in the government-owned companies. And speaking about not knowing what the hell is going on, because at the same time, September is coming. GBE basically telling you that no matter what, they're starting to cut off, so start to come and pay. What to pay, you just have to guess. And hopefully you're right. And if you're wrong, you're going to get cut. That's St. Martin. It's still a real place. Well, at least I would like to think so. In other news, the Catholic School Board. Listen, okay, all right, let me be fair. The Catholic School Board had a meeting with the Minister of Education, Culture, Youth, and Sport. And during the meeting, you know what? I'll leave the minister tell you the story. This is him during the press briefing on Wednesday.
In regards to the issue surrounding the alleged situation at the Scots School, I have informed last week that I would be having a meeting with the school board. I did have the meeting with the school board. We did not go into the content of the report or research that was done at the Catholic School Board level regarding the topic at hand. However, I left the meeting indeed with the understanding and that the school board would report the incident, but received a letter after from the school board indicating that the laws at this moment does not, let us say, require that they make a report. What I want the public to understand here is that even though the present laws does not have sufficient ability to enforce the reporting, we at the ministry have already started with the upgrading of the law to make this possible. And this was also taken into consideration. However, even though this is known to the school board, they still indicated that this is not yet finalized. So they do not at this moment have to adhere to unfinalized articles in the upgraded law.
So let me get this, like I couldn't wrap my head around the answer because he was rolling in circles, like the way the government is, just continues to go round and round and ring a rosy. So I had to ask the question, just to be clear.
Just as a clarification on the meeting you had with the school board, so was it that the advice given to the school board for them to actually report the incident and then it was agreed upon, and after you left, a letter was sent to you informing you that that will not happen? Just wanted to be clear.
Thank you, Mr. Andrew, for the question. It was not a meeting where an advice was given to the school board. I went to the school board because of time matter, that was one. And secondly, to also indicate my concern. I feel that this is a very delicate matter. It is something that deals with our students and our children. It must be noted that our children, our students must be able to understand that school is a safe place. And if something happens at the school, it should be reported. Now, in our conversation, I understood from him that it would be reported the next day. And when I received the letter the day after, which indicates the position he took in regards to the law, so the law is not in place, or the law to enforce reporting is not sufficiently there for secondary schools. And I have also sought legal advice on this. I haven't received it as yet, but I'm awaiting.
So basically, the school board told the minister, yes, something happened. I can't tell you what happened. We're going to look into it, and maybe we will file official complaints with your ministry and with the police. And then they left the meeting. And then after the minister went back to his office, the minister then receives a formal letter from the school board, including the person who he spoke to, who said that they were going to file the complaint, and said, you know what? We don't really have to. So therefore, we're not going to. But you can always update your laws. Only in St. Martin. Only in St. Martin. So now the parliament and everybody, the mother, the sisters, are looking to go and meet so that they can fix the situation, because I guess we didn't know about it. Meanwhile, the Catholic school board don't have to do anything. They don't have to say anything because the laws are not up to par. So who do we blame? No, you can't blame the Catholic school board. You have to blame the people who are supposed to be updating the laws, the people who continue to receive the salaries. There are 15 people who have to meet on a constant basis to update, create legislation. Yes, the Parliament of St. Martin, ladies and gentlemen. Whether you're in opposition, whether you're in the coalition, whether you are governing, whether you are in jail, whether you are suspended and still receiving a salary, draft initiations. Yes, it's a real thing. So, that is going to be one of those things whereby we're going to just talk about it. It's going to be very hurtful at first, and we're going to feel appalled, and we need to do something as soon as possible until the next situation arises, and then we're just going to be like, okay, they're working on it. Next. Yeah. I tried to find a lighter situation to what took place during the week, because it's a bunch of things that continues to upset me. But you need to be informed, and that's what we're here for, okay? And therefore, we are going to give you somebody right now who gives you the most information every single week consistently at the Council of Ministers press briefing. And who's that? No, not the government. Mr. Brown.
Good morning to the people of St. Martin and the ministers that are present today. Question to the Honorable Minister of Health. Minister of Health, it have been pounding that the monkeypox is soon, it's on the way, heading to our shore, Minister. And the health apparatus emphasizing that there are certain relationship with men causing the escalation of the monkeypox. Minister, what will be your statement on this matter? Minister of Justice, I read the release from your movie, unscripted movie, that will highlight certain aspects of crime on the island. Minister, it has been a norm right now that in 2 weeks and more, person have been a suspect of sexual misbehave. Minister, as you emphasizing, you want to combat, in other words, direct young people and holistically people from committing crime. But when somebody accuse person and do not have evidence, like for sexual misbehave, yes, and then they have to be arrested. Presently now, a police officer have been accused of sexual misconduct. And not he only. Now we also, Minister Samuel spoke about the school investigation, and it has been going on all the time. But when you do not find any proof that this person have done any sexual misbehavior, then what? But the stigma have went out already. So what would be a statement on such matter, Minister? Question to the Minister of Justice. Minister of Justice, you seem to be in the front line these days, Minister. The people are wondering how soon they're going to hear the pronunciation of the grace period. And those people who have been denied document, would they have any opportunity to sign in, to be a part of the grace period?
Okay, so there was one question that kind of made sense when it comes to the immigration situation here on the island. I know that Mr. Brown tried to ask a question and the minister tried answering. But there is a deeper situation that we have to look at. And when I heard of the situation, it kind of broke my heart. And it's kind of tough to break my heart because I don't consider having one. The situation is, with this immigration thing, is that there are a number of persons that are born in St. Martin. Now follow me, born on St. Martin, and still has to go through the process of residence permit, from resident permit. And sometimes they might have a gap, and sometimes they have to be flown out for medical reasons. And because they don't have the right paperwork for the country that they're born in, they're not allowed to come back to the country that they are born in. So then they are sent to the country that their parents are from. It still happens in 2022. And I hope that the Minister of Justice can look into this, because I'm sure she's aware of the situation. There is a woman who has four children who were born here. And she was also born on St. Martin. And she was delivering. She had to make the baby. And when she had to make her children, twins, she then gotten a bit ill, and she had to be transported off island so that she could get better medical treatment. So then she was then given permission to leave. She went to Colombia or somewhere, Santo Domingo, somewhere else to get medical treatment. Yeah, you still with me? Now that she made her children, she's not allowed to come back to St. Martin, so she was sent to the country that her parents are from, which is Santo Domingo. So they sent her to Santo Domingo. Where in Santo Domingo? I don't know. And now she's back and forth with the Ministry of Justice, Immigration Department, to find out how it would be possible for her to come back to the country where she was born. And then let me give you a better scenario. Her children are going to school. The children that were born here, they're going to school now. And the mother is not here. The father is not here. They're living with family. And they're going to school. And the school is now asking them for ID cards. They're asking them for their papers. Now, thank God we have compulsory education. So that means even if you're illegal, you are entitled to education. So you can go to school still. However, when they finish school, what would be their status? Illegal. Even though they were born here, went to school here, and because their parents don't have any papers, they would be considered illegal. So then what happens to somebody like that in the system floating? Now imagine the amount of people that are going through this situation. So particularly the situation is special, but imagine the amount of people that it is happening to, and we are not tackling it. No matter what, we're not tackling it. We're not focusing on it. We're just going through justice situations from situation to situation and not thinking on very particular situations that is close to home. And again, no special favors here, just clear policy for somebody who could be considered an alien. Because I know for sure kids don't choose to be here, but they're here. So what happens to these type of people? So Minister of Justice Anna Richardson, please look into this. Of course, I'll follow up with the minister for the press briefings, but it's just something that, Mr. Brown kind of, he does that sometimes, even though, his questions don't make no sense most of the time. Sometimes he just hits a chord and then, we're like, that's a good point. Yes, the first 5 seconds of his questions made sense. Welcome to the Late Night Show. We have a good one for you. Yes, it was a lengthy opening, but it was worth it. Let's begin.
That's it for the Late Night Show with Austin Lawrence. Let's see if they're going to let me do this next week again. I'm not sure. But I had a good time with everybody. And yes, I do know you had a good time this week as well. Anyway, have a great weekend. See you next week. Peace.